There we go. Well, welcome, parents. We're here for the awards ceremony, where we get a chance to tell you how much we have enjoyed teaching debate to your kids. This has been a really fun class. I've been with a lot of these kids the last 2 weeks, and some of them only one. Last week we had a different assistant, but they have really loved working with Nicole this week. Just in case you don't remember, my name is Debbie Heron, and I'm a longtime Capitol Debate employee and a longtime high school debate coach here in Texas. And I'm just really happy to have been able to teach this really interesting class. For the last 2 weeks, this has been the youngest class that we've had at Capitol Debate, at least at that time. And despite this, they have covered every single one of the exact same issues and the exact same concepts of debate and argumentation that the older kids did. And they had no trouble understanding it. They're just such smart kids and such hard workers and so anxious to learn new things. So I'm really proud of them. The resolution that they're going to be debating for you in a little bit after the awards ceremony is that government regulation of social media companies does more good than harm, which they have to do a lot of research and a lot of learning to debate this because they don't have a lot of personal experience with social media because they're so young. And yet now, even before they get experience, they already know some of the dangers of it and what some of the regulations are going to be. They were assigned a side. They sort of got to choose, but nobody seemed to be unhappy with the side that they were assigned. So half of them were arguing that the government regulation does more good and half that it does more harm. So you're going to see them squaring off against each other with one of the students affirming the resolution that the regulation by government agencies does more good, and the other student taking the opposite approach. We did have an odd number of students, and so we're going to see Sherry. She kindly volunteered to go twice, but it won't be the exact same speech because she has chosen to use a different argument in each of her two debates. So it should be a little bit fresh for all of you watching. When we were working on these debates, the children originally wrote three complete arguments to support their position. But in the interest of time for the showcase, they've each chosen their favorite of those three arguments. But you can ask them later to tell you the other two because they have a lot more to say on this subject than just what you're going to hear in this showcase. And let me look at my list here. Yes, so with all of that said, then we have some awards to hand out to these kids, and then you're going to get a chance to see them debate. Okay, first we need to do this, and this is something that we need to get the parents and the students to do. So students, I know you're watching right now, so take your paper and pencil or take a picture of this or screenshot it and get these two links down. We got parentsurvey.capitoldebate.com and studentsurvey.capitoldebate.com. And this gives students, this gives you guys a chance to say what you liked and didn't like about this week and to say what you liked and didn't like, hopefully everything you liked about your instructors. And parents, this gives you a chance to give some suggestions for how we can improve this program because this all online program is, it's kind of new. And we do read all of these comments and we do try very hard to take them into consideration when planning for the future camp. So please do share your voice and let us know how you felt. Also, another slide. Nicole, another slide. Right. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the other camps that you guys could still sign up for. And if you were to sign up for an additional camp today, with this coupon code, Next Class 2020, you would get $50 off next camp. I know there's at least one student in this class that is already thinking about signing up for another camp. And I think the next slide lists what some of those camps are. And if it doesn't, I can still remember what they are. But yeah, here they are. So under these programs, we have a class in legal communication, which sounds to me like a lot of fun, where the kids are going to they spend a week doing a mock trial. And I used to coach this in high school. It's really fun. the kids play the part of all the witnesses and the attorneys. They give the opening statement. They interview the witnesses. They respond to objections. There's a judge that is going to rule on all their objections. And then in the end, they make a closing statement. And it's real fun, and you learn a lot about legal communication, which if you've got future lawyers in your class, they would probably really get a lot out of this. For the future entrepreneurs, we have a class in business communication, which I'm not really super familiar with it because I've never taught it, but I do know that they create a sales pitch for a new product, sort of like Shark Tank, where they come up with an idea and pitch it to you with a persuasive speech. Interpersonal communication is something that I've been teaching a lot this summer, and this is teaching the students to be better at problem solving, better at reading each other's body language, better at communicating in groups, etc. Very useful information. And STEM communication, I taught this last summer at Harvard, and it was fun too. This is for your future scientists and engineers to work on presenting a speech that's based on a scientific concept to help them get ready for presenting things at science fairs and robotics fairs and other kinds of, science competitions. But if you just really love debate, we have two more debate classes. Debate 301, which takes up where this class left off. Same, if you do it this summer, it'll be the same topic with just a whole lot more debating. And once you've completed that, debate 401 is even more advanced. And some of you four of the kids in class have already expressed an interest to me to the extent that they stayed after and spent extra time in class yesterday to find out a little bit about Club League, which is a competitive league that we run during the school year. And I just got some information about it yesterday. I think it's probably set up today. If you were to go to the website or use the chat function that you see when you get to the website, you could probably get information about that Club League right now. And the way it works is this is an all online league where you would be able to meet with an online coach and then once a month attend an online tournament to debate against kids from all over the country who all have been working on the same topic. And all of these things, you can get the $50 off with the Next Class 2020 coupon. Okay, all of that said, I like to stress that because I love these kids, I'd love to see them again in class. And here's the number to call if you have any questions that I didn't cover, or you can stick around after we finish with the showcase and ask them to me right then. Okay, that said, please do keep in touch. Here is the way to email us. And of course, the kids all have my and Nicole's Capital Debate email addresses, so please stay in touch. And I'll be sending you some final feedback sometime this weekend. And that's there. Here they are. This is our class. Don't they look great? Such great smiles. And now Nicole is going to take over. And she'll introduce herself, and then she's going to hand out the awards and introduce the showcase debates. So I'll be back at the end.
Okay, hi, I am Nicole. I am Nicole. I am the instructor assistant for this class. I had a great time with this class. It was a lot of fun, especially with like the younger kids. So I think everyone did a really, really good job for their, for 10-year-olds, kids just going into middle school. They were really, really impressive in their research abilities and their writing skills and their determination. So good job to the entire class. All right, but let's give out these individual awards. So first goes out to Sherry. Good job, Sherry. Sherry is such, she has a lot of ideas and really loves to let us know and tell us, any of her creative thoughts and likes to think things through a lot. So good job, Sherry, because we really saw that this week. Yay. Okay. Then we have Annabelle. Annabelle is a really strong debater, and she did a really, really good job this week. And she participated in everything and even had fun with the games and drawing, scribble, and whatnot. And she's really hardworking, and she just had a great speech this week and does really well in those debates. So I can't wait for you to see Annabelle. Good job, Annabelle. And then we have Grace. Grace has been so fun to have in class. She is really determined and asks a lot of questions and makes sure she knows what's going on. And she's a lot of fun and likes to, really participate during those team building hours. So good job, Grace. Can't wait for you guys to hear Grace's speech. And then we have Ishan. Ishan says that he is a ball of energy, and he is right. Ishan has been really fun to have in this class this week. He has a lot of fun ideas. He works, or he always tries to do better, I would say. So good job, Ishan, because he really does take criticism well and wants to do better. So good job, Ishan. And I can't wait for you to see him as well. Okay, and then there's Yao. Yao is a really, really good debater. He did really well this week. I hope to see him continue to debate in the future. He's also a lot of fun, so it was great to have Yao in the class this week. And then I'm pretty sure this is the end. We have Sanvi. So Sanvi is quiet, but she's she's not as quiet when she's debating. She always has a good time and is a good team player during games and whatnot. And she's so sweet and she's a great writer. So good job, Sanvi. I can't wait for you guys to see what Sanvi has been working on this week. And with that, I think we're gonna move on to our, oh, no, sorry. Oh, how could I forget Claire? Oh, okay. Claire is just so sweet and she's really hardworking and a talented debater for her young age. So pretty much everyone is really is so impressive for where they are currently at, given their school year or speaking experience. So everyone is super creative. They've been, I will say that these younger students have shown more creative speeches than I think some of the older students. I have heard arguments that I haven't heard before in a minute because of these students this week. So that's really fun. All right. So you can hear their creative arguments. First up is going to be Claire versus Annabelle. So could you guys turn on your cameras and then we can start your debate.
Okay, they're there. Annabelle, your face is really dark, sweetie. That's good.
Are you ready? Around 3.8 billion people use social media as a great app by connecting you, your friends, and family members. But there are some advantages and disadvantages with this popular app that the government needs to change. The government should regulate social media. The government should regulate social media because it needs to prevent hackers. Government should protect people from hackers because their personal information is very important in life. We know this because approximately 160,000 people are hacked in a day. This is important because your personal information is extremely important. And without your personal information, you can't apply a home loan for a passport. What hackers might do with your information is use your money and buy things they want. This is an advantage for hackers. In conclusion, the government does more good than harm. The government should regulate social media because it needs to prevent hackers. In order to protect these 3.8 billion people, the government should regulate social media. I am now open for CX.
Okay, so my first question is, how much hacks approximately would it be if the government wasn't stopping these hacks?
Probably about 200,000.
Why exactly would a hacker hack others?
So they can get your personal information and buy things they want.
If there wasn't any cybercrime, would the government still invade our privacy?
No.
Okay, Don't you think there are other ways to stop hackers without the government?
Yes, but social media is one of the big ways that hackers communicate and get your personal information.
Okay. Do you ever notice the possibility in which government regulation on social media actually does more harm than good? The government's regulation isn't necessarily good because it doesn't follow the First Amendment set by the Constitution of the US a long time ago. It violates the First Amendment, and we know that the First Amendment says freedom in social media because the Constitution of the US says that the Congress will make no law prohibiting the free exercise or abridging the freedom of speech. This is important because we will not have freedom if we did not have the First Amendment. For example, we wouldn't be able to practice our religion or protest against the government. According to the Legal Information Institute, the First Amendment prevents Congress from either advocating a religion or restricting a specific practice. It guarantees us freedom in speech and social media by giving us the right to speak freely without restriction. The First Amendment also allows us to protest against the government. Government regulation violates the First Amendment. In conclusion, the government does more harm than good as it ignores the First Amendment set by the US Constitution, which grants us reasons. For this reason, government regulation does more harm than good. I am now open for CX.
Do you think there are any exceptions for violating the First Amendment?
I believe the First Amendment is very straightforward, with no exceptions.
Do you think hackers can lie to you according to the First Amendment?
Yes.
Why is freedom so important?
As I said in the First Amendment, freedom is important because it allows us to protest against the government and practice our religion.
Is the First Amendment important and why?
The First Amendment is definitely important. This is because it grants us freedom in what we do. It makes us more competent in what we do without the government restricting us.
I have no more further questions. Even though I don't think we should violate the First Amendment, would you rather have safety or freedom? Even though we can free speech, sometimes the speeches are not reasonable or good, like when they blame you when you didn't do anything wrong, or they speak about something that's not important. This is important because even if we violate the First Amendment, we're doing it for safety. My opponent said that the First Amendment should not be violated because it's very straightforward. But the Supreme Court has made some exceptions for violating the First Amendment, like committing violence or saying things that are racist in front of children. That is not good. This is why the government is more good than harm.
My opponent talked about hacking. She said that hackers look at our personal info, and we aren't comfortable with it. If the hackers hack to look at our personal information and we aren't comfortable with it, why are we comfortable with the government doing so? We don't know either of them that well. According to the Stanford Law School, government hacking raises new security concerns. September 19, 2018, Bariana Pfefferkorn states that the government is hacking us too. Like those criminals we don't want hacking us. There's not much difference between them anymore, is there? She also said that there are exceptions to violating the First Amendment. But if there are exceptions, there might as well be no First Amendment at all. We might as well just remove it. There are many other ways we can protect and have safety. This is why government regulation does more harm than good.
My opponent said that we should not violate the First Amendment because it's very straightforward. Like I said, the Supreme Court has made some exceptions for violating the First Amendment, like committing violence or saying things that are racist. In my speech, I talked about hackers, what hackers do with their personal information. We are in a world that requires safety everywhere, mostly in social media. We need to protect social media from hackers. If the government does not regulate social media, we will no longer be a safe country on social media sites. Clearly, I would rather have safety over freedom. This is why I think the government does more good than harm.
The First Amendment grants us privacy, and our privacy is special to us only. We don't deserve to have the government tailing us everywhere. It gives us a feeling that they don't trust us. And trust is a kind act that the government should do upon us. As my opponent said, she said that there are 160,000 hacks per day. Is the government really stopping these hacks? She said in CX that without the government, perhaps there would be 200,000 hacks. But maybe not. Maybe the government just isn't trying. Or maybe it just can't be fixed. If we continue regulating social media, our freedom will be gone. The government doesn't always do things correctly. They invade our privacy we want to keep safe. This isn't fit for us. If you choose freedom, you are agreeing to take it seriously because you really want it. We can be safe, too. With freedom and safety, this would be a suitable world for us. This is why government regulation on social media does more harm than good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That is the end of our first debate. Good job, Annabelle. Good job, Cole. So what you just saw there was a shortened version of our debate format. Excuse the sounds in the background. But so basically that was a shortened version of our debate format. They gave a constructive speech. They gave an opening speech where they presented their arguments, and then they gave a refutation speech where they gave responses to arguments, and then at the end they gave a closing speech, which was to tie everything together and to convince their audience why they should vote to either live in the pro world of government regulation on social media companies or the con world where regulation isn't justified. So the next debaters we have up are Sherry and Grace. And you guys are good to go ahead and start your debate.
Have you ever worried about what is on the social media platform that you and your children use? Have you ever seen something that you thought should get taken off the platform? As Charles Melville Hayes puts it, safety first is safety always. The government should be allowed to regulate social media because it would stop terrorists from spreading fear or recruiting members on social media platforms. The government should be able to regulate social media because it would stop terrorists from spreading ideas or threats on social media platforms. We know this because according to the Council on Foreign Relations in 2009, terrorists can show others tutorials to destroy this place, wreak havoc in here, and all in all destroy the peace in countries. This is important because this should not be allowed. The government would be able to take down dangerous information before it spreads. Terrorists go on social media platforms to recruit and gather members. If the government isn't allowed to regulate social media, then this issue would definitely escalate. In conclusion, the government's regulation of social media does more good than harm because it would decrease terrorists going on social media websites to spread fear and recruit members. Like Elizabeth Warren once said, a lot of people think regulations bring higher costs, but regulation is also about making sure that someone doesn't get to beat out the competition because they're dumping out the filthy waters or spewing poison in the air. I am now open for CX.
Your first question is that are there lots of different ways for terrorists to send or recruit people other than social medias?
Yes, but social media is the main source as it draws over 3.6 billion people online. Nobody willingly goes to an unknown website that obviously does bad things.
Do they recruit people in person?
Of course, but how do they do that? Threaten someone, ask their friends. The chances are slim of meeting someone who would kill people for an issue.
And my last question is, do terrorists have private websites?
As I said earlier, yes, but as I said, people don't venture onto these websites.
I have no further questions. Throughout history, government regulation has had many different opinions. I think that the government regulation does more harm than good on social medias for this following reason. First, it violates the First Amendment, which is free speech rights. It deters people from talking because they don't want to say something that they usually would say in their house, but not be allowed to say in social medias. This is important because people wouldn't be as comfortable as they would if they were talking to each other on social medias, because they aren't interacting with each other as much. In conclusion, this is why government regulations is doing more harm than good because it violates our First Amendment. I'm now open for CX.
Okay, so do you think a criminal should be able to lie to you under this protected right? And let me add that the criminal is a U.S. citizen.
No, but you could also suspect that they were a criminal.
Okay. Do you think the cyberbully should be able to bully you, protected under this right?
No.
Okay. Do you think that terrorists should be able to spread fear and false information protected under this right?
No, but most terrorists aren't citizens of America.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay.
I'm going to take half of my break time, 1 minute, to prepare my rebuttal.
Okay, so Sherry is taking prep time to prepare her speech. She gets 2 minutes in total, but she's using 1 minute starting now.
I am now ready.
Okay, go ahead.
In response to my opponent's reason about the First Amendment, I totally agree that the government should not violate the First Amendment. However, the government should be able to take down something illegal. The Supreme Court has ruled that there can be an exception to the First Amendment the material is likely to cause people to be violent or if it is offensive. If the government takes down something politically, of course the government official has to be tried. But if it's for the sake of our safety, the sake of others' safety, we should allow that. My opponent said in CX, she said that the bullies online should not be able to bully you under this right. And I totally agree. She also said that terrorists mostly aren't US citizens, so they are protected under this right. So that means that the government wouldn't be violating any right by taking down terrorist posts. This is why the government should be able to regulate social media. Thank you for your time.
Okay, now it's for my rebuttal. My opponent's main point was about terrorism. On Cato.org, it says, yet all too many government policymakers think that if we make things very difficult to use, the bad guys will go away. This is not true because terrorists can obviously always keep posting things that reposting and reposting again and again. No matter how hard the government tries to keep taking it down, the more they take it down, the faster the terrorists will spread the information. They can also use lots of other sites that they can either make it or they can use popular websites and pretend to be a good guy and talk about terrorism. This is why I think government regulation is not the correct way to solve terrorism. Thank you.
If you agree with me, you would have a safe place to browse, to look at the world around you without having that fear of someone mocking you, having someone threatening you, and you can still have some of your privacy. If you disagree, then you can protect your privacy and live in danger, afraid to share insights or meet new people. Which would you prefer? If you agree with my opponent, you would agree with things that could easily be hacked, platforms that constantly have bullies who throw mean words at you. If the government was allowed to regulate social media, this would be avoided. If you agree, you can allow your children to freely browse social media platforms to discover new insights, careers, people that could essentially change your life. This is why you should think that government regulation of social media does more good than harm. Thank you for your time.
If you agreed with me, then you would have a safe place to write what you think, your feedback on what people are writing, and also your freedom of your speech, of posting things. But if you disagreed with me, then you would always have to worry about if the government would go on to always check what you're saying, and also having to worry about government regulation taking off all your posts. This is why I think government regulation does more harm than good. Thank you.
Our debate is now finished.
Thank you, ladies. That was a great debate. Thank you. Yes. All right. So the next debate that we are going to be having is Sanvi versus Ishan. So Sanvi and Ishan, come on up. Okay.
There they are.
Did you know that 60% of the world population uses social media? That's 3.6 billion people. We could be saving so many of those people with government regulations. Many people who use social media get cyberbullied. Cyberbullying is a big problem. Government regulations will help us prevent cyberbullying. According to cyberbullyingstatistics.org, around half the teens in the US have been cyberbullied, and only 1 in 10 teens tells a parent if they have been cyberbully victims. Cyberbullied teens can get anxiety, depression, and can even commit suicide. Every 7 minutes, a kid is cyberbullied. Cyberbullied teens are also 2 times more likely to commit suicide. In conclusion, government regulations on social media will do more good than harm because there will be less cyberbullying. Social media will be a safer place to express yourself, and safety is the #1 priority. I'm now open for CX.
What will happen if the government thinks that the cyberbullying comment is something non-lethal?
If the government thinks that the comment is non-lethal, then the victim will probably not think the comment is cyberbullying.
What will happen if the government can't actually delete a comment because they can't find it?
If they know the name of the person who wrote the comment, then they can probably find it.
Thank you. I have no more questions. Government regulation of social... Oh, is everyone ready? Government regulation of social media companies does not do more good than harm for the following reason. It allows people to see your private information. The reason is that it allows people to see your private information. October 5th, 2018. An article on Investopedia shows that this is true because reporter Mark Davis says that because government agents are taking down your comments and looking at your personal life, that they're finding out what's going on in your life and it may disturb you. This violates the Fourth Amendment, which stops the government from illegal search and seizure. This is important because it shows that we have the right to privacy. If you still aren't sure, search up whether government regulation of social media causes problems. I am now open to CX.
Do you think privacy is more important than safety?
No.
Do you think cyberbullies should have their privacy respected?
Yes.
Are there privacy controls on social media?
Yes, but not a lot of people actually use it.
I have no further question. Government regulations on social media may invade your privacy, but if you're very worried about that, social media does have privacy controls. If you don't want the government looking at your posts and deleting them, you can use the privacy controls. And only people who want to see your posts and comments can look at your the things you post. If you do have a public account, and if you're just going to post it anyway, what's wrong with the government looking at your post if you put it out there anyway? This is why I think government regulations cause more good than harm.
My opponent doesn't exactly cover what people's my opponent's point was cyberbullying. My opponent doesn't exactly cover what the people who commit suicide from cyberbullying think about doing before they actually commit suicide. They might not even commit suicide because of cyberbullying. They might commit suicide because they are lonely or they got fired from from a job.
Are you done? My opponent's main point was that government regulations will invade your privacy, but that's not as important as cyberbullying. because that's not as big of a problem as cyberbullying, because there's an easy fix to that: privacy controls. With your privacy controls, if you're responsible with them, only people who you know can see what you post. Cyberbullying is a very big problem. It affects people from as young as 10 to 34. According to cyberbullyingstatistics.com, a kid is cyberbullied every 7 minutes. And people from every year, so many people from ages mostly from 10 to 34 are committing suicide. Even kids younger than that are committing suicide because of cyberbullying. Government regulations will save young lives. A world where kids and young adults are protected from brutal comments is better than a world where every day a kid or a young adult thinks about taking their own life. That kids who 1 in 10 kids who get cyberbullied commit suicide. This is why government regulations will do more harm than good. More good than harm.
Government regulation of social media will take away your private information. My opponent's idea may seem right, but not many people are actually willing to take their life. She doesn't really state what percentage of people who get cyberbullied actually commit suicide. In my world, social media companies would be able to regulate themselves, and then not as many people will commit suicide, and more people will be happier. I'm now finished.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Now we're moving on to our last debate. And this debate, we're going to be having a returner. It's going to be Sherry versus Yao. And, Sherry is debating twice, but she is presenting a different kind of version of her speech. So, Sherry and Yao, go ahead and you can begin.
Sherry, you're muted. You're muted, babe. Start over.
Have you ever worried about what is on the social media platform that you and your children use? Have you ever seen something that you thought should get taken off the platform? As Charles Malloy Hayes puts it, safety first is safety always. The government should be allowed to regulate social media because it would stop children from viewing inappropriate content. Government regulation of social media does more good than harm because they can regulate inappropriate content. We know this because according to Guard Child, the number of sexual assault cases related to social media has increased by 300%. According to The Verge, more than 41 million videos of child sexual abuse was reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 2019. They say that only 5 years ago, it was less than 350,000. This is important because children shouldn't be taken advantage of, and they shouldn't be viewing inappropriate content. Someone has to do something about this issue, and the government can definitely help. I think government regulation of social media will do more good than harm. In conclusion, government regulation of social media does more good than harm because it would decrease children viewing inappropriate content on social media. Like Elizabeth Warren once said, a lot of people think that regulations bring higher costs, but regulation is also about making sure that someone doesn't get the beat out of the competition because they're dumping out the filthy water or spewing poisons in the air. Thank you. I'm now open for CX.
My first question is, could the government just place an age limit on social media?
According to Caring for Kids, some social media platforms have age restrictions to join, but it's easy for children to get around these. Also, older children could be exposed too.
My second question is, can't parents set limits on social media use?
Yes, but during that time when kids use social media, they could accidentally see inappropriate content. Parents also cannot control things on social media.
My last and third question is, do social media sites have parental controls or any type of control to alert to alert people of children viewing inappropriate content or history that parents can view?
No, most like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram don't.
Okay, I have no further questions. Are you ready? When social media was first invented, only a few people ventured online. But nowadays, you'll see 1 in every 3 people going online use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Government regulation of social media does more harm than good. This is because it will allow police to unfairly watch users of social media. Government regulation of social media would allow the police to unfairly watch users of social media. We know this because the Brennan Center for Justice stated that police using social media to track down criminals and arrest innocent people based on misunderstood blog information or people of color based on racist reasons. This is important because an unjust justice system equals an unjust government. We would be living in a world where innocent people could be arrested for no good reason. In conclusion, government regulation of social media does more harm than good. This is because it will allow police to unfairly watch users of social media. If you don't believe me, just ask that 1 in every 3 people who uses social media every day. I'm now open for yes.
Do you think that police should be able to catch criminals?
Yes.
Have you ever seen a police help anybody on the news, maybe? Have you heard any cases of that?
No, I do not watch the news. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you think the police should be able to use social media to catch illegal citizens?
No, because that will be invading people's privacy.
Okay. I have no further questions. And I would like to take 1 minute for prep time.
Okay, you got it.
I am now ready. This is a great point based on what is happening in our society currently. But do the police have to verify what's right and what's wrong? The government could have many other officials that can help. But the police could also do a lot of good. One of my school's police officers was always helpful and taught us very important things, including dealing with social media and bullying. My opponent said in CX that the police should be able to catch criminals. By letting them use some of your privacy, you're helping them. Also, if you really wanted your privacy to be private, why even share on social media? This is why the police can help. And this is why the government should be able to regulate social media. Thank you for your time.
Are you ready? My opponent stated that governments needed to regulate social media to stop children from viewing inappropriate content. However, children won't need to view inappropriate content if their parents take on more responsibility and watch their children as they use social media or forbid them from looking at just at social media platforms. This is important because it shows that the government wouldn't need to regulate social media if their goal was to stop children from viewing inappropriate content. And this is why government regulation of social media does more good than harm. Thank you for your time.
If you agree with me, you would have a safe place to browse, to look at the world around you without having that fear of someone mocking you, having someone threatening you, and you can still have some of your privacy. If you disagree, you can protect your privacy and live in danger, afraid to share insights or meet new people. Which would you prefer? If you agree with my opponent, you would agree with things that could easily be hacked, platforms that constantly have bullies who throw mean words at you. If the government was allowed to regulate social media, this could be avoided. If you agree, you can allow your children to freely browse social media platforms to discover new insights, careers, people that could essentially change their life. And this is why you should think that government regulation of social media is more good than harm. Thank you for your time.
I would now like 1 minute of prep, please.
Okay.
I'm now finished.
Go ahead.
What if the government decided not to regulate social media? Then we would all be living on a planet where we would all be free, living our lives like we are now. But what if the government did regulate social media? Then we would need to look at our accounts constantly on social media, hoping a government official wouldn't record or read what we wrote. This is important because what we write is mostly private. The government should not be able to look at our private information because the government would be violating the Constitution and we would no longer be free. This is why government regulation of social media does more harm than good. Thank you. The debate is finished.
Thank you. Well, good job, guys. I'm so proud of you. Even better than this morning. And that concludes our showcase for now. I don't think there's a way for the parents to actually turn on a microphone and ask me questions, but you can send me emails. In fact, one already has, and I'll sit right here and answer them right now about any questions you have about this class or my recommendations for what I think your kids would enjoy for future debate experiences. And I certainly hope that they have them, because to be this good at the age, I think they have a great future ahead of them in debate. Love to see all of you guys again sometime. So with that said, that ends our showcase, and it's been fun. Bye-bye.